Hello, welcome to round number 2 of this double elimination top 8 tournament. Me versus Daniel Kappler on Infect. And try the games.
Infect now?
Here we are again. We have now on the right hand side, we have Daniel with his very beautiful Infect list.
I have a lot to say about this Infect list. It's probably the deck I'm most excited about today, and I really hope it's good.
Yeah, me too.
Because the deck changed a lot from the iteration that we've seen a few years ago with the printing of the Rot Priest in March of the Machines.
This card is insane.
What you may think initially is that it's another 1-drop to supplement Glistener Elf in Infect, but what Daniel chose today, he completely cut the Glistener Elves from the main deck and replaced
Really?
them.
I
Yes.
didn't see it.
Yes, he has no Glistener Elves. He moved 2 of them to the sideboard, probably to have additional threats against removal heavy decks. What the Rot Priest does is it provides a completely different angle of attack. While it doesn't have as much synergy with pump spells, so what you could do before was Groundswell a Glistener Elf and already put 5 poison counters just off of 1 attack.
Yes.
Rot Priest doesn't work like this. The toxic ability doesn't scale that well with the pump spells, but what it does give you is an endless stream of 1 counter, 1 counter, 1 counter every time a creature is triggered. And this is what Daniel exploits now, because if you look at the list, he plays 4 Spellskite, which on the one hand helps to protect the Rot Priest against removal, but what it does is it gives him a combo finish.
Yeah, it also proliferates.
With 2, if you have 1 Rot Priest and 2 Spellskites on the board, you can keep bouncing the spell between and keep triggering the Rot Priest and basically win at some point without entering combat. And to help with this, what you may also see is he plays 4 main deck Shaper Sanctuary. And this is coming back to what we were saying before, that you already know your opponents and you can more or less plan against them. So what do you want against a deck that has all spot removals and leyline binding and solitudes?
Protection.
Protection or a way to refill the hand.
Yeah.
Which also works with Spellskite, because when you change the target of a spell, you get to draw again with Shaper Sanctuary.
Yes.
Marcus's deck we already know.
But let's have a look
Let's have a look again.
Let's make it a little bit bigger over here.
Mono Modern Horizons Elementals wants to play against as many creatures as possible. Let's see if he is prepared to play against these creatures.
Let's see. So Marcus was on the play.
Daniel didn't play a turn 1 Rot Priest, but this doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't have it. He might just be saving up protection spells before he...
Alright, sorry for the glare, guys. The camera light was a bit too strong, so if there's any card you can't read, I'm probably gonna shout them out. And this is an Alhambris call, so yeah.
He probably wants to have something like a Spellskite or some protection, Blossoming Defense, Vines of Vastwood.
True. What is that? Do we see it? What could it be?
A turn 2 spell off of Forest and Red Land. It could be Renin 6, which might prompt a Spell Pierce from Daniel. True.
It was an
Eladamri's call. Spell Pierce is fine in the matchup, but what it can't do, it cannot counter the creatures, so Solitude and Fury. But by proxy, it can counter the Eladamri's call that brings in the Fury and the Solitude.
True.
And this was what Marcus was trying to do, to get Daniel to tap out and to use the Spell Pierce so he can resolve the Teferi. Teferi, quite big against Infect, because it removes your ability to play
on instant speed
in combat threats to protect your creatures.
Just playing Hearthstone at the moment. This is game 1 of this match. We had in the first game, we had Marcus on the left-hand side against Brandon on Golgari Yawgmoth.
So this is the round 2 of the winner's bracket.
Yes.
Whoever wins here has to wait, I think.
Has to wait, because the loser bracket has to be played out.
And will play against basically the winner of the... So whoever wins here gets the privilege of having lunch.
Yeah. I will check if the light is still on, because this is looking...
Don't we have a second winner's bracket match?
I think we do.
There should be a second winner's
bracket match. There should be, yes. So we have one more.
I think there's one more, true.
Match in the winner's bracket.
I can get the list, then we can look it up.
In the meantime.
This Teferi is really big for Marcus, right?
It is
Because
basically...
it shuts down half of Daniel's deck and basically his whole plan.
What it doesn't shut down is Spellskite, because Teferi doesn't stop abilities from being activated, but it does shut down all other spells. So what Daniel is doing now is I think he's trying to dig. He played a Blighted Agent, which I think Marcus doesn't have an answer to main deck, because all of his removal is spot removal or spells that generally have to target.
Yeah, but he can just target it.
Yeah, he can target it, that's true.
It's just unblockable.
Yeah, that's true. It's not Invisible Stalker.
And this is a big problem now, because with Teferi on the board, Daniel can't play all his protection spells, so basically he's exploited to whatever answer Marcus will play.
Yes.
He cannot protect all his creatures, maybe with a Spellskite.
Maybe with a Spellskite.
What he does here is he plays out his Shaper Sanctuary a second time, so this basically gives him draws, right?
Yes, this is what he's hoping for. He's hoping for a draw that could get him out of the situation. For every removal that Marcus casts, he gets to draw a card. But I think Marcus will go for the Shaper Sanctuary, yes. So instead of giving Daniel a card by exiling the Blighted Agent, he first targets the Shaper Sanctuary to remove the ability. But now, maybe Blighted Agent gets to live. I doubt it, since Marcus still has three cards in hand. He passes the turn now, which I think is safe, because him still having Teferi on the battlefield means Daniel cannot play instant speed spells, cannot respond with protection spells. So if his plan is to cast another Leyline Binding or a Solitude, he might as well.
I mean, basically all his removal spells are instant speed now. Even Prismatic Ending,
Yes.
you can just play at instant speed.
The one card is Fury. I think that he can't use at instant speed, but the rest are all.
What Daniel needs to do is remove this Teferi, right?
Or power through it, because he does have 2 threats right now. He has the Blighted Agent and 1 Inkmoth Nexus in his mana base. This is a pump spell for sure, but let's see which one it is. Could it be a... It could be a Vines of Vastwood or a Snakeskin Veil or a Blossoming Defense. I think it's Snakeskin Veil. Yes.
Yes.
So what this does is if it resolves, it means that the Blighted Agent cannot be targeted this turn. So Marcus has to act now in response to the Veil.
And he does, with the Solitude evoked.
Which costs him 2 cards. And now leaves the gate open for the Inkmoth Nexus to attack. So if Daniel has another pump spell, he could go for the Teferi. Let's see if he chooses to kill Teferi or...
He goes
directly
for direct damage.
Direct damage. So this is basically half of Marcus's life total. He's on 5 poison. So if Daniel has one more pump spell like that, very interesting play. Very interesting. Would you have killed Teferi?
Without, he doesn't have any cards in hand, so...
He still had 1 left.
Like, the plan is just... killing him? So if...
Seems like it. An Endurance flashed in to block. Wow. So this is a desperation move from Marcus, which isn't that bad, because this consumes one of Daniel's +4/+4 pump spells.
Okay. What Marcus could have done is bounce the Leyline Binding here. Or is Leyline Binding non-lands? You can target it.
Yes, he couldn't have taken it. And also I don't think he can bounce it. You mean to bounce it on his own turn just to have it. Yes, it's non-land. Okay, Daniel is excited. Does he have another? He does. He has another Might of Old Krosa. So if Marcus didn't draw anything, he is just dead.
So he's fetching. What can he have here?
Crazy how resilient this Infect deck is, even through so much removal and Teferi Time Raveler. So Marcus shocks in a Temple Garden.
So this has to be Eladamri's Call. for Solitude.
It has to be Solitude. Let's see if he has another white card to pitch. Not a trivial requirement, but he does a third Teferi. Oh, and Daniel plays a Boseiju. What does this do?
It frees up his Shapeless Sanctuary.
Aha, and he casts it in response to the Solitude. So when the Solitude resolves and targets the Inkmoth Nexus, he would get to draw a card at least. I think this is the play. It's probably the best use of Boseiju that he could have found.
So the light situation should be better now.
Perfect.
We changed the lighting.
And the glare also disappeared for the majority.
Now we have lighting from two sides.
So what we're seeing now is both players more or less out of gas. Marcus is out of cards, just with one Teferi on one loyalty counter on the battlefield. And Daniel with basically one card in hand and a Shaper Sanctuary. Who do we favor in this situation?
I mean, the Elemental stack has more power cards, but Daniel only needs one creature, which he does have. This is the winner.
It's a Rot Priest. It's a Rot Priest.
And he has 5 Infect, right?
He has 5 Infect, and Marcus just drew his one card, which is an
Elimination.
Surprisingly good. It bricks the attacks from the Rot Priest. Wow. And it has Vigilance and can provide a clock. Wow. Surprisingly, a 5 mana 4/7
Insane.
just stalls the board. 2 Exalted Triggers from Hierarch, still not enough to get through. And the Rot Priest doesn't have Infect. It has Toxic, which means it doesn't get to put -1/-1 counters on anything it hits in combat.
And there's the Risen Reef, so Marcus is building up his engine.
Risen Reef triggers twice.
Yeah.
Due to the Elesh Norn, and already
and also there's Renan 6.
Yes.
Does he also trigger twice?
No.
It's
only
just the ETB abilities.
Just the ETB abilities, of which there are already many.
Yeah.
That was the one turn when Marcus had to draw something, and he did.
He did.
Yeah, what a draw.
What a draw. A second Shaper Sanctuary. This is still not over. If Daniel finds some Spellskites, which again operate under Elesh Norn, they operate under Teferi.
True.
But
he has to find a Spellskite plus some sort of pump.
Yes.
Now.
And there's the Solitude from the top.
And the top Mr. Rainforest. So Risen Reef refilled his hand. Remember 3 turns ago Marcus was Hellbent and top decking.
Yeah. So Elesh Norn into Risen Reef was the best sequence he could have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he now has Solitude? With
yes,
double triggers.
Double triggers, yes. Daniel is going for it. He's trying to give his Rot Priest protection for 1 turn, but this is walking into any response that Marcus might have. Remember, Marcus still has a Teferi Time Raveler on
so
one.
He's already on
counter.
9 Infect now?
9? He should be, I think it's on 6, because Rot Priest just adds 1. And the Rot Priest is a 4/5. It's a 6/7 right now, if I'm not mistaken. And Marcus let it resolve. Yes, okay. He knows he's under no threat because Daniel can't cast anything in combat because of the Teferi. So he just takes the damage, takes 1 more Infect counter. Daniel wisely chooses to stay alive by blocking the lethal attack.
But this is actually close. Like, Marcus can die on 2 angles here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but I can't imagine Marcus is in danger with so many cards in hand unless he's mono lands. This clears all of Daniel's blockers. Now with the Renin 6 ability. Or, no. He chooses not to do it because he doesn't want to trigger Shaper Sanctuary, right?
Right.
Yes, that
There's
is
a
correct.
Blighted Ancient.
And that is lethal next turn, if there is a next turn. Of course, Marcus would choose to give Daniel 2 cards rather than die.
So he's going for 1 Shaper Sanctuary.
Which means
the
he still
prismatic
has
ending.
something else in hand.
I mean, we know he has Solitude, right?
Yeah.
And the Ren and 6 on the board, so he can just choose to kill any of the threats.
I mean, at this point, Teferi can just bounce the Shaper Sanctuary as well, right? It should
I think
be
he
on
bounced
like
something
4.
already. I think Teferi is down to 1 or 2 loyalty counters probably this turn. So it's only there to provide protection against instants. Okay, so this is the double trigger Solitude.
So he gets 2 Risen Rift triggers and 2 Solitude triggers.
And Daniel gets 2 cards from his Shaper Sanctuary.
And with Teferi on the board, he can't do instant speed interaction, so...
Yeah, it was a tough decision. I think our gut instinct was also to attack Teferi on that turn.
Yeah.
When Marcus had shields down. But I think Daniel knew he had at least 2 other pump spells that would be lethal.
Yeah.
And by putting Marcus to 5,
So that's
he
game
would
1.
be forcing him to have answers. So that's game 1.
Going to Marcus and his 4 color elementals.
I still think 1 Spellskite on Daniel's side would have changed this tremendously.
This was changed a lot, yeah.
So let's look again at the sideboards. What can Marcus bring in?
He will definitely want the 2 Boseijus because they are able to deal with 2 of the most important cards in Daniel's deck, which are Inkmoth Nexus and Spellskite.
Yes.
Both of them quite difficult to deal with.
But
Spellskite because
Marcus hasn't already seen the Spells card, right? So
That's true. That is true.
maybe he's
I
not
think
really...
he knows.
You
I think he knows. But you also
Seeing-
have to board in the Boseiju just because of the
Inkmoth Nexus,
Inkmoth
Shaper
Nexus,
Sanctuary.
Shaper Sanctuary.
Yeah.
This is what you have
Yes.
seen.
Yes, plenty of targets. So this is probably one of the best. I don't know if he would go as deep as the Force of Vigors, but maybe. I could see it happening. What else? I think even Flusterstorm is justifiable because the Infect deck doesn't make a ton of mana, but it would be just a 1-for-1 trade. You would be trading Flusterstorm for 1 pump spell off of the Infect deck, which I think maybe is not what the Elementals deck wants
You
to
could
do.
be right, yes.
They want to go big, to go for 2-for-1s. Flusterstorm is there for...
Even the Infect deck is probably trying just to raise it and go under the radar and just be fast, and 1 Flusterstorm could totally destroy this all-in plan.
this. Marcus does have some clunky cards that he could take out. We've seen it win the match now, but I think Elishnorn has to go.
It's
in
the first
force. It's the
card
first
out
cut.
of-
It has to be.
probably, yeah.
I think so too. But I mean, now it won him the game.
It did, but I think any 5 mana spell would have done the same. Probably
Yeah.
Elishnorn was the best at that point, but you can't really count on it so much. What else? Maybe even the Risen Reefs, because this is not a matchup
You're not gonna grind.
where you
No.
want to go outgrind card advantage.
What you
So
want to do is just keep the board clear.
the,
from
two,
any
the
creatures.
2 cards that won in the game now on camera are probably the ones to go. And they'll be replaced by more interaction. This has to be it. He has to bring in Boseijus and maybe the Force of Vigors. On the
True.
other side,
On the other side, then we have here the...
what surprises does this Infect deck have? He can bring in the 2 extra Glistener Elves because he needs as many threats as possible. He knows Marcus is going to be dealing with his board, so you need 2 more extra threats, even though Glistener Elf is probably the weakest of the bunch. This does give Daniel 6 1-drops on the play.
Yes.
And on the play, he could threaten a turn 2 kill with them,
Yeah,
with the Glistener
that's
Elves.
true.
To which Marcus can't respond with the Leyline Binding, because you cannot have 5 land types in play on turn 1.
This guy got it, Jet.
He can still have Solitude, but you force him to have that specific out. Other than that, the question is, do you also go for the secondary damage plan? Because Marcus, knowing the matchup, could shock Freely,
it's
maybe
very
down
hard.
to 10 life, and he could be surprised by an Endurance.
That's not good.
Probably not good.
It's probably not good. Endurance is costing 3 mana.
Yes.
If this was Tarmogoyf, I would say yes. You can.
Yes.
We'll see, yes.
Rot Priest sadly doesn't work against Fury. Yes, that's true. That's true.
Fury is just kills so many archetypes. A lot of you've seen it already in the first game with Golgari, Yawgmoth. There's just one Fury from the top, and the board is just gone. And the same point can be made for, like, I don't know, spirits in modern, Merfolk in modern, humans.
Almost all tribal decks, creature decks are having issues. Only decks like Zoo that can consistently play a turn to 5/5 out of Fury range, or can hope to have.
That's pretty sad somehow. There's so much free spares. I mean, it's a very the format has become very, very fast and very, very hyper efficient.
And even the old hyper efficient threats of the past don't cut it now.
Yeah.
So Daniel does start off with a Shaper Sanctuary. We are in it for the long game. Or not. Marcus famous for drawing one of his 2 prismatic endings on turn 1 to answer problematic cards like Ether Vial or...
That's already a very slow start for the Infect player.
Yes. Probably a safer start, because you always want to have Shaper Sanctuary on the board before you show your opponent any creature. But again, in this case... And Marcus draws the correct Triome, which gives him Domain on turn 2, even after the Prismatic end on turn 1. This is basically the nuts.
He just has the nuts, that's right.
I'm still waiting for a Spellskite on Daniel's side of the board.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything at the moment.
It doesn't, but it
provides protection at this point.
For anything else, he does have an Inkmoth Nexus already.
Yeah, that's true.
So a Spellskite can surprisingly force Marcus to play very defensively.
Man, it just being there makes it a lot harder for Marcus.
Yeah.
Okay, he's going in. He's going in, boys. Endurance. This would be lethal to the Nexus.
And there's a Minofold Crowser, yeah.
Which makes it a 4/4 because of the because of the exalted trigger from the Noble Hierarch.
But it's a wasted spell for the Infect player.
It's a 1/1 with the Endurance, but yes, it's not the ideal. I don't think Daniel was expecting the Nexus to go through, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
He's just trying to bait out as much removal now. But there is the first 2/1, Omnath, which means Marcus is tapped out. This doesn't mean much in this matchup because of Solitude.
Yes.
But I can see a world in which Daniel has double Pump Spell and Divine Vastwood protection and just wins on the spot.
I'd love to see it.
So this is attacking for 2 for now. Okay, it connects. And the Dismember. We didn't think about this.
No.
Dismember, that's true.
I mean, that's very good.
It's a very good answer to Omnath. What we usually see Marcus doing is playing Omnath on turn 5.
Yeah.
So he also gets the trigger from the fetch land, which nets him life and mana.
Yeah.
But he was probably not expecting...
The Elish Non is still in.
Shows how much we know. But same situation as last time.
Yeah.
Marcus is tapped out.
Is there a way to get rid of it?
Don't think you need to.
You just go
ignore
over it.
Yes. It can't block. It has vigilance, not flying, so it cannot block the Nexus. Let's see. Always a fun song and dance around the combat phase.
I mean, there could still be Solitude.
If Marcus only has 1 Solitude, and he jumps the gun,
He just has 1?
In hand, I mean.
All right.
And plays it, then Daniel can always respond with a protection spell. So he has to wait for Daniel to play his pump spells, which of course he won't do.
Yeah.
And we have a race. We see that Daniel was also forced to play the Boseiju as a land.
Yeah.
Which, if Marcus finds a Leyline Binding maybe later in the game, could...
But maybe he has protection in hand, we don't know.
As long as there's no Teferi on the board, this match is very exciting.
Yeah.
Land, land, land. Daniel's still hitting lands. Is he still going into the face of 6 open mana on the side of the Elementals deck? He is.
I think he has to.
You sleeve up Infect. You're not here to skip combat phases.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fetch for a plains. We can see where this is going.
Probably gonna see a hardcast Solitude.
A hardcast Solitude, which
so
triggers
too, yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
And could also take the Hierarch. Daniel taps it because he knows he's going to lose it anyway.
There's the hexproof.
There is 1 protection spell.
So does Marcus have the second protection spell?
He has.
Solitude.
It doesn't work. If Vine's resolved, if the first Vine's resolved, then you're
I
safe.
mean, he has to have it in
Yes,
response.
in response. So once Daniel saw that the Vine's resolved, he knew he was safe to hit it.
So
See?
Daniel
does nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
I mean, Daniel was also playing very considerably of which answers Marcus could have in hand. So, yeah, he was probably just waiting for it, waiting for the perfect opportunity, yes, and just pump it.
The perfect threat in this in this scenario. He can activate it only when he has protection spells up.
Yeah,
is basically immune to Fury.
Yeah.
Still the best Infect creature.
Still the best Infect creature. Very nice. So we get the game 3 with Daniel on the draw, which could hurt quite a lot.
That's true, but I think he could win this.
I could see Glistener Elves coming out now. So if they were in the deck for game 2, they might be coming out now, because if you play a turn 1 Elf, this leaves you incredibly vulnerable to Wrenn and 6.
True.
I don't know if he still would prefer to have the density of threats. But Daniel already surprised us with his choices, so let's see if the players keep their hands. It seems they do. Both players kept 7, which is scary for Marcus.
Okay.
Which means Daniel believes that his hand can win with the 7 provided.
And again, we see he doesn't have any 1-drop, so no Shaper Sanctuary, no creatures.
He might have the Spell Pierce in hand.
He might have creatures, but he just doesn't want to play them turn 1 into Wrenn and 6.
Yeah, and leave them completely unprotected, yes.
Or yes, like Marcel is saying, he might have Spell Pierce, which also forces Marcus to not slam the Wrenn and 6 on turn 2. There we go.
Keeping the Spell Pierce up, if he has one. I think he has it.
He must. Right?
It's so good against Teferi, against
Teferi, Wrenn and 6,
and
sniping
stuff.
an Eladamri's Call is also great. It can also hit lane binding, because
Yeah, that's
Marcus
true.
fetches a lot of Triomes, which doesn't give him the extra mana to pay for the Spell Pierce. But the longer we go, the less useful Spell Pierce is, and Marcus, I think, knows this. He's just making land drops, just progressing the game.
Spell Pierce gets so bad as the longer the game goes.
And see, he did have all the 1-drops.
Yeah.
He just chose to keep the mana up. So a huge turn.
Here's the Leyline Binding.
A huge turn on Daniel's side, but
and
now
steal 2 mana up.
He targets the Rot Priest in response to the Shaper Sanctuary. So this removes 1 threat from the board and avoids giving Daniel a card.
Yes.
Daniel still has the Nexus.
Yeah.
So if Marcus has to go after the Nexus with the Shaper Sanctuary still on the board, the cards will start flowing. This tells me he has an answer to enchantments.
I think so too, yeah.
He has to. A Force of Vigor could hit Shaper Sanctuary and Inkmoth Nexus at the same time, still giving a card to Daniel.
Is the Wrenn 6?
A Wrenn and 6 with 2 mana up.
Marcus knows his stuff.
I see nothing in, and he doesn't go for the -1. He still avoids giving Daniel any cards.
Wow.
Doesn't go for the
very interesting.
A second Nexus. Okay, now it's on.
Malifaux Crowser.
So Daniel is going for it.
He doesn't have to commit another pump spell. He still has 2 mana up to protect his Nexus.
So his Nexus is a 5/5 now?
It's a 6 from the Exalted. It's attacking for 6.
Ah, yeah, it's a 6 from the Exalted, yes.
So it's not immediately lethal, but it dealing 6 poison damage.
It goes up to 8 poison here, right?
8? No, to 6.
Yeah, already had 2, right?
No.
No, I don't think he had already.
No, he never attacked. This is the first, because the Rot Priest. Maybe we're wrong, but it seems like he goes to 6. Daniel's still deciding. I know Marcus still deciding. So he actually goes for it. He walks into the Spell Pierce that he played around.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe to tap out Daniel.
Maybe he thought either you have it or you're not. I won't give in to your bluff, maybe.
Yes, but he could have just played around it all game.
Yeah.
Now he just gave him 1 binding. What's also interesting is that Daniel tapped a land instead of the Hierarch. So if now Marcus kills the Hierarch, yes.
Okay, some small input here. I was playing one Spell Pierce early and I definitely thought he had it. I don't know, I just wanted to be more mana efficient this turn, so I chose to play my Leyline Binding into the Spell Pierce, which in after sight was not a good idea. Probably should have just untapped and played my Leyline Binding on my turn, because my hand was, at that point, a Leyline Binding, a Risen Reef, 2 Solitudes and a land, I think. So yeah, I should have just played my 5th land, play my Leyline Binding, play my Risen Reef, and then just hold up pitch Solitude. That would have been the same outcome than if I just hardcast my Solitude. I still would have died to a protection spell, but this way he didn't draw a card, and I also would have my Risen Reef on the battlefield, so that was pretty stupid.
He draws a card?
He draws a card, but he won't have the blue mana up anymore.
True. Because it's just, yeah.
I would have tapped the Hierarch, but who knows?
It's red, green, white, right?
Hierarch gives banned mana, so it's blue.
Oh, it's also blue, yeah.
Yes, it's also blue. So he could have... He's thinking now whether to protect the Hierarch or not.
He got excited there.
Yes.
It was quite a hasty move.
Yes, it was a bit hasty. Maybe this was why Marcus played the Leyline Binding. It's interesting because keeping the Noble Hierarch in play basically doubles your clock.
Yeah.
You need to attack twice with...
Still such a good card.
Yes. I'm loving this Infect deck, and I still think it's a bad matchup for it against the anti-creature deck that Marcus has.
But it's so good to see it again. I mean, I was always fearful of Infect in the modern meta.
Yes.
But seeing this again just gives me some kind
of... It's a deck that causes stress. Okay, so Marcus...
that causes stress, yeah.
Marcus passes. Let's see what Daniel has. So that's it. Venerated Rot Priest brings Infect back from the dead. Probably available on the Magic Corner website.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is an attack for 2. Which would put Marcus up to 8. And dead in any other attack.
Yes.
So let's see if he acts now. It's very nice to kill it and to have a buffer.
I mean...
Than to be at the proverbial 1 life.
3 cards in hand, right? So there... I cannot see it. One looks like a Botanical Sanctum.
Yes.
But I want to know which pump spares he's got in hand.
I think I can tell you which one he doesn't. So Scale Up probably went out of the sideboard. I think he just kept the ones that double up as protections.
And give him hexproof, like Vines of Vastwood and
Vines
stuff.
of Vastwood, Snakeskin Veil, and Blossoming Defense. If his hand is 3 of those, then he has it. And I think he has to have it because he protected his Hierarch. He wanted to have...
I think so too.
Okay,
there's the Might of Ocrosa.
Now he taps the Hierarch. Okay. Just like in game 2, it trades with 1...
Didn't he kill the Noble Hierarch with the Renet 6?
No. He tried, but Daniel cast the Might of Volcrosa on it to keep it alive. This is the second Might of Volcrosa that, just like in the other game, traded with an Endurance.
So he's on 9 Infect now?
No, still 6, because the Endurance blocked.
Ah, I'm sorry,
The Endurance blocked. He's still on 6. And Daniel is down to his last card, which is probably lethal.
We hope.
But we have to see what Marcus draws. Marcus is on 4 cards. Not great, not terrible. He didn't play any of his value engines. I mean, he didn't draw any extra cards off of Omnath, off of Risen Reef.
even if Daniel loses this match now, then it's 1-1, so he's on the draw.
No, it's
the
already
play.
1-1.
This is a
It's already 1-1?
Yes.
Where have I been?
Okay, Daniel is going for it. It's a snakeskin veil.
Snakeskin veil.
Would you do it? Would you not
Solitude.
wait one more turn?
I mean, if he has another protection spell here, right? It's
yes,
just game.
if he does, then Marcus has to have another Solitude.
But obviously, taking this long, he doesn't have it. But he draws a card.
And?
Draws another thing.
Another snakeskin veil.
Wow.
It has to be. Unless Marcus boarded in the Flusterstorms.
And it's game.
Marcus has the second Solitude, but without a white card.
No.
Alright, the Infect player got it. Very nice.
Insane.
Wow.
Insane. Get your Rot Priest now.
Get yours now. Place it at the Magic Corner.
I mean, to be honest,
Alright, so I lost this match to Daniel because of my stupid mistake. I think I could have avoided, but yeah, I'm moving down to the losers bracket. But don't worry, there's still a lot of very good matches to come. So if you like what you're seeing and you like the work I put into editing those videos and you want to support me, subscribe right here and watch the next videos right there. See you guys next time.